From the beginning of time, man has always had a pursuit of the best quality of life possible. That quality of life is not possible without resources. The form of resources we have accumulated has changed over time from cowrie shells, state-controlled money, precious metals, real estate, and stocks and bonds. Over the past 100 years, the world has been dominated by the US dollar and its reserves. But everything that has a beginning also has an end. A new financial revolution is upon us with the emergence of a digital economy. The way we earn, spend, and accumulate resources is fundamentally changing. A new asset has appeared that the wealthy have overlooked. Bitcoin has become the best performing asset of the past decade by far. With only 21 million ever in existence, there are more millionaires and billionaires in the world today than there are Bitcoin. Just by holding 0.25 Bitcoin today will put you in the top 1% asset holders in the world in the next 5 to 10 years. If you would have invested $100,000 in Bitcoin in 2013, today it will be worth more than $15 million. Bitcoin billionaire Raoul Pal says, Bitcoin's performance is so dominant and so all-encompassing that it is going to suck in every single asset narrative dry and spit it out. Never before in my career have I seen a trade so dominant that holding any other assets makes almost no sense. This is not an industry you can afford to ignore. If you want to remain in business, then you must adapt. Are you offering services in Bitcoin? Are you accepting payments with digital currencies? Have you adopted blockchain technology? Blockbuster Video at one point was the most dominant video service in the world. They had the opportunity to be part of Netflix, but they ignored the changing technology. Where is Blockbuster today? Where will you be tomorrow?
All right. Good morning, everybody. This is Saturday morning live crypto talk. This is Bitcoin Brandon Ivy from Los Angeles, California. I am the founder and CEO of Ivy League Crypto Academy. Go ahead and type your name in the chat box where you're listening in from. As a disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor, and let me say this slowly because of our topic. I am not a licensed financial advisor to be giving financial advice. I read the news, give my opinion, share suggestions for entertainment, training, and educational purposes only, and it is up to you to make your own informed, intelligent decision on which direction you want to move into. So go ahead, type your name in the chat box. Let's see, who do we have? I see Joyce, Easily Happy Saturday, Martha Cameron from Cancun, Gina Ray from Philly, Marnita Casa, still the birthday girl from Colorado, Bouger from Texas that is in. When are you going back? Yeah, I saw the game last night. I just watched a quick recap of how Anthony Davis cost us an easy win against the Dallas Mavericks. And Bouger happened to be at that game last night. On the floor, by the way. Who wants to trade Anthony Davis? Who wants him? Yeah, y'all go back to Texas now. Good morning. Melanie Davis from Chicago. Carolyn, good morning. Facebook user, morning, everyone. Stephen A. Smith from Atlanta. Dave Winters from Leavenworth, Washington. Mike Nowowski from Jersey. Let's see. Hi from Colorado, Facebook user. Kaiten Brewer from Atlanta. Linda Wright from Virginia. Dagmar from Lake Arrowhead. Oh, you're going back tomorrow. You get to come out here when there was no rain. It's about to rain again on Monday. We got another, what do they call that? That new term, atmospheric river. The good thing, though, is that we have eliminated the majority of our drought. Much needed rain. Good morning, Laura. Good morning from Maryland. Carla from Chicago, or you're heading to Chicago. My Morehouse brother, Lamar Slater from San Diego. My man, Provis Lofties, Corpus Christi, Texas. All right, all right, all right. Now, we've got 2 weeks left in the month of March, and I did a live yesterday about we've got a lot happening to plug into, especially if you are in a situation where you feel fear, uncertainty, and doubt when it comes to the U.S. banking system. You want to plug into our community because we're addressing this every day. You know, today, this is my Saturday crypto talk. I do open for the community. I am taking tonight off. I'm not doing anything tonight. But in our Inner Circle crypto talk from Monday through Thursday, I still do crypto talk every day. It's just for our paying community, $49 a month to get this information. Congratulations to Melanie Davis, Leonard, who else? Patty Geis. You guys in our Inner Circle last week found some diamond in the rough tokens that went up 40, probably today, much higher, 200% gains that you guys only get while you're listening to our Inner Circle crypto talk. Good morning, Phyllis from Costa Rica, Elton from Boston. So if you're not in our Inner Circle talk, you're doing yourself a disfavor. You know, you're spending money on Netflix and Disney Plus. By the way, I was watching Mandalorian yesterday and Picard. Spend money on that. I spend $100 a week on freaking Wingstop, let alone getting this crypto information for $49. But our theme is really the banks. A week from today, I will be doing a special talk called The Crypto Storm is Coming, but the financial storm. I started this last August. Now it's only for my Diamond members, those that are paying $199 a month. But I'm going to open it up to everybody. Again, because of what's going on with the banks. And I know there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So I'm going to open it up to everybody next Saturday night. But it's not going to be streamed live like this. It's going to be in on our 5-day challenge. 5-day challenge on a Facebook group. So all you got to do is register. All you got to do is register. Got that right. Get stock in Wingstop. All you got to do is register. ILCAchallenge.com. ILCAchallenge.com. You'll be invited to our private Facebook group, and I'll be streaming live from there. That is something else you don't want to miss. And I'm going to do something else also special. Every Tuesday and Wednesday night, I have class. I teach a class on all of our lessons. I have more than 100 crypto educational videos now. 100. And these videos cover Bitcoin 101, advanced crypto, how to trade Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, Internet of Things, DeFi, NFTs, and the metaverse. And Tuesday night we're on our DeFi courses, and the lesson happens to be banks versus DeFi. So I'm also going to make that for one time open to the public. You don't even have to register for the 5-day challenge. I'm going to stream it live like I am right now, Saturday. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to do that lesson live. So if you have anybody that is, fearful or not uncertain about what's going on with the markets and how does crypto play a role in all this, then show up on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then finally, it is confirmed I will be interviewing the CEO of Starvara on Friday, next Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. The CEO of Star Horizon, Starvara. There's a huge announcement next week when it comes to the nodes. You definitely want to get your hands on the nodes. Nodes can make you rich. In our inner circle, I share my crypto wallets. Most people don't do that, but privately, I share my wallets. And I've shared how got multiple 7-figure holdings because of nodes. And this is the latest project that I'm excited about. And that doesn't mean that every node project succeeds. They don't. You got to understand and knowing that going in, it is a risk. But the ones that do, you only need 1 or 2 of them to succeed. Ask those who got in on Gala. No, it was $500. Now it's worth $95,000, and people walked off their jobs and made millions off of that. And I did not get involved. One of the biggest crypto mistakes in my career. I could have easily. and I did not for other reasons, and it cost me. All right, so let's jump into, let me share screen. Let's look at what the crypto chart is doing today. All right, pop on up. Phyllis, on my end, everything is fine. There's nothing that I can do on my end. You say that my stream is coming in and it's freezing. Best if I need to download, I will turn off my camera. But let me ask others. Is anybody else having an issue with my streaming? Let me check my mic. See, some people, Sherry Sullivan says I'm good. Others say I'm all clear. Yeah, there's nothing I can do on my end. Lamar says I'm clear. I'll turn off my cam and maybe see if that does anything. So you can't see me. All right, we'll see if that does anything. All right. So the crypto market right now, we're looking at 1.2 trillion. It is up 4% in the last 24 hours. You're freezing and audio goes in and out. Here's what I can do just to be on the safe side. Give me 2 minutes and I will do a quick refresh reboot. So let me do that. Give me this is Saturday. I mean, let's take a bathroom break or go get something to drink. So I will be right back. All right, all right, all right. I am back. Let's do a quick mic check. If you guys can hear me clearly, type Y in the chat box. Let me know if you can hear me. You can see me clearly, and we should be good to go. All I did was a quick reboot. That was a refresh. I was doing a lot of video editing last night, and I did not reboot my computer, so we should be good to go. So while this is doing up, I do want to give another shout out to my executive assistant, Miss Marnita Tasa, for her birthday, and thank all of you guys who gave her a birthday wish and welcome. That was cool. All right. All right. So now we're going to look into what's going on with the crypto market. Share screen. This one. All right. Here we go. Can you see all my? Yep, there we go. All right, so this is like those in crypto might consider this to be good news. The crypto market cap is at 1.2 trillion, is up 4% in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance has risen to 43.7%. Ethereum is at 18%. Bitcoin is now at 27,600. Steady increase over the past week to week. We'll look at this week to week. There is it's all over. It's all over. Ripple is up 2.5%. Cardano was up 5.4%. Now my audio is wacky. Come on now. You got to be kidding me. I don't know if this is on my end or if this is change my mic. All right, testing. I switched mics, so we'll see if this clears us up. All right, Matic is up 0.5%, 69% on the week. Let's go by the best performers over the past week. I'm going to be talking about on the Nugent in a second because there's an echo that's up that should help people. Conflex is up 155.2% on the week. Mask Network 112%. Stacks 100%. So this is across the board up, not just Bitcoin or Ethereum. Look at these gains. 75% Immutable X. Singularity Net up 64%. Phantom 54.5%. Render 45.6%. Graph 45%. Now, why? I mean, is it a mystery as to why all of these tokens expect this? I mean, can anybody guess what possibly happened? Well, the banking crisis is what happened. And that banking crisis is completely manufactured. It was what normally happens all the time, but something different happened this time around, which caused the crisis. It's the mixture of fear, lack of trust, and social media. Something that did not take place in 2008. I mean, the internet was around in 2008. There was social media, kind of, in 2008, not like it is now. I think my first Facebook was 2009.
think when I created my account, my first Facebook account, definitely know about no YouTube and all that other stuff. We were only a couple of years removed from the .com boom or bust or bubble burst. But today, see, people think of a bank run and a classic bank run as everybody's running down to the bank and there's no money in the ATM machines and there's locks on the bank doors. But this bank run was different. Nobody had to run down to the bank. It was all done by this baby, all done by the phone. And because of the way we communicate, we're able to communicate with other people, our friends, family, businesses, let them know all at the speed of light. Pull your money out right now. Next thing you know, $42 billion is being pulled out in an hour. So a couple of things happened there, but the biggest problem is lack of trust. Now, we are in an uncharted territory this weekend, because some of the biggest banks have rallied together and are dropping $30 billion to rescue another bank. Now, when we say rescue another bank, you have to understand how the system works. All the banks are operating on federal reserves, and they changed the rules for some of them. Before, the bank had to keep at least 10% of your money in their accounts, and they could do whatever the hell they want with the other 90%. Then some banks changed the rule, and now 100%. They can do 100% of your money. Now, normally that's not an issue. Not everybody's putting money out at the same time. So these banks that are so-called failing, is not that they're failing, it's that they don't have enough cash on the books that if everybody were to run on the bank at the same time to cover it, the deposits and the withdrawals. So this bank is fearful that on Monday, everybody's going to come running trying to pull their money out. So the big banks are putting money in to make sure that there's money there for that, to prevent a default on it. And it's all about SVB Bank would not have gone down if the CEO did not publicly disclose that he was looking for private investors inside of the bank. Now, it's not that it was wrong for him to publicly disclose it. It wasn't necessary because banks do this all the time. For him, it's just another Friday and Saturday. Problem was, others in that bank freaked out. And they took that as a sign that the bank is in some major financial trouble. And it really wasn't. It's the fact that the Federal Reserve raised interest rates and it messed up on one of the government bonds that SVB had that dropped a 1.3 billion in the hole. So he was just trying to shore that up for Monday morning. But what he was trying to avoid, he actually caused, because that information went like wildfire. See, most people operate on a Monday through Friday mentality. So he's like, Saturday, nobody's going to know anything. Friday after hours, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, the house of cards came crumbling down. And then there's a domino effect. People, if that can happen to SVB Bank, what about this other regional bank? And also the Federal Reserve, the FDIC. Also further by swooping in, all first was Silvergate, and then SVB, and then you got Signature in New York. There was nothing wrong with Signature. It's just the government's fear. I'll be talking more about this in detail on Tuesday and next Saturday night, so I'm save that for there. But what ended up happening to the crypto space, since politicians are playing politics with crypto and trying to say, oh, well, these banks are friendly to crypto, so it's an attack on crypto. No, it's not. That's the weird thing about this. Crypto is not the target. They are the collateral damage. The target, the real target, is these banks themselves. The Federal Reserve is preparing for the birth of new money. And I talk about this in the crypto storm is coming, the financial storm is coming. The only way you're going to get the American public or the people itself to accept a new order is you've got to crash the old one. You've got to have a natural or man-made crisis so that the people will accept something new. People don't like change. People want things to remain the same, especially if it's in their favor. And why you changing something that's not broke? And people don't realize that the banking system has been broke for 4 decades, since 1971. It's been broke. It's just a slow bleed. And I've been reading about the digital dollar project, the CBDC. The Fed came out last year. I read that white paper, the Federal Reserve's proposed digital dollar white paper, where their ultimate goal is to cut out the middleman of the banks and create a banking system where the Fed can operate directly with each individual citizen. Unheard of before. How do you do that? In my opinion, and again, I state anything that comes out of my mouth is not fact. I'm taking facts and coming up with my own assumptions. All right. Too many times in this country, people think that what they believe is fact. That's not true. You just believe it. I am man enough to admit when I'm wrong, if the way I believe is wrong. So, as a disclaimer, I am basing this on my belief of what is about to go down and what's happening. Okay. You guys might believe something different, but I personally believe that they are trying to attack the small independent banks, not the big. They're not going after Chase, Bank of America, whatnot. It's these small regional banks because they operate directly with the people, friendly to crypto if they want to be, friendly to startups, and they want more control. That's what the whole thing is all about. They are the target, and it's only phase one in this whole thing. And then they're going to swoop in and say they got a solution, CBDC. But I'm going to talk about that next week. So what ended up happening with crypto is that people are fearful of the banks and they're looking for a safe haven. Precious metals, gold, silver, and crypto. This 4% represents new money that came into space. This is not a bull run because crypto didn't do anything. Nothing miraculous happened for crypto to be spiking this. It is doing what it was designed to do, as being a safe haven, a store of value. And it's performing very, very well. That also means that this is also going to come down. So it's just a matter of, and we talked about this in our inner circle earlier this week, so I'm not going to repeat. That's, you got to be in the inner circle to get that. But I gave my prediction on how high this can go and how low it's going to come back down to. You got to be in my inner circle to get that info. But this is short term. This is just a reaction. Now, why this weekend is important is because now we got to see how will the American public react to the news of big banks coming in to bail out the smaller ones when the markets open on Monday. Logically, the people should react positively, but most people are not logical. People are emotional. You just can't read the charts and look at the papers. And on paper, everything looks good. But what I believe is going to happen, most people are going to think, oh, well, the banks are in trouble. They're trying to bail them out. Hey, I'm not messing with that. I'm pulling my money out. F that. I'll wait till y'all calm things down a bit. I don't trust y'all. I'm pulling my money out. All that's telling me is that there's more trouble in the banking system, that y'all are coming in trying to bail them out. I'm not keeping my money there. That's stupid. I'm just telling you how people think. People get emotional with them when it comes to their money. So I think this bailout is going to have the opposite effect on what they hope it will. I could be wrong. Also, the Fed is still messing around with the interest rates. See, the Fed has a bigger problem here, and that is inflation. So they have a war on inflation. They need to stop that. So that takes precedent over people's feelings on these smaller banks. And they know that by raising the interest rates, it's going to mess up these smaller banks. They're like, all right, they'll be the sacrificial lamb. This is a bigger problem that most people still don't fully understand. And it's a worldwide problem. So the Fed right now they're in their private smoke-filled rooms. They're like, dang, so yeah, we can't let all the American banks go down, but we got to keep doing this, because if it shows that we're kind of weak on this, on stopping the inflation, then we're going to lose the real money is. But if we keep messing with the interest rates, it's going to mess up these smaller banks and people's individual loans and mortgages, and that might cause a crisis. So we got to see how the Fed reacts and how the people react on Monday. Now, for each individual, there are things that are outside of your control. You can't worry about the things you can't control. What you can do is focus on the things you do have control over, and that is crypto. So people are exercising that control, and they're moving their assets into crypto. But this is not a bull run, okay? I want to let you know that. This is not a bull run. In our inner circle, I also gave you guys a prediction of when the next big bull run cycle is going to happen. I gave you guys, so you can our story as well. So let's talk about what's the winning coins of the past week. Who did not benefit from this? Let's see. Show me the worst tokens. Maker. Wow. Everybody is up, but Maker went down 7.1%. Up 2.9% in the last 24 hours. I didn't look at, I was surprised. Switch is another token that did the opposite. It did not go up. It went down, but there was a little bit of manipulation going on there, because I know some guys that are doing a lot of selling on that. And one sell we did, we dropped the price of Switch by half. I saw it happen live. So yeah, it's still sitting at 0.002. Before we messed around with it, it was at 0.005. Switch. All right. What about you guys in our inner circle when you were looking at FAST and the GP token? Have those? I don't want to pull up Dex Tools. I don't want it to slow down my computer. But let me know in the chat box. Have those still performed today? No, you guys are very up on that. On those tokens. All right, so who's this? Define the future of money, and I agree. None of this is being done by accident. The only thing that wasn't a surprise is that the people, the systems, the powers that be did not expect with using social media and the market to do what it did with SVB. That kind of set them back just a bit. They're like, whoa, we didn't expect that. This crisis will define the future. Now, it is good to know that this is an opinion piece, okay? Not fact. It's an opinion. When you guys watch the news, if you're watching cable news 24/7, and you've got the conservatives that like to watch the right-leaning news sources like Newsmax, OAN, and Fox, and then you got the liberals that like to look at MSN and CNN. Most of those are opinion pieces, not news. It's for entertainment. It's for dollars. They're telling you what you want to hear. Okay, so you got to be able to cipher in between and come up with your own conclusions and other sources. So this is an opinion piece. Now I want to see if I agree with this. So far I do with this first line. This crisis will define the future of money. The recent collapse of the three high-profile banks, Silicon Valley Bank, Silvergate, and Signature Bank, it's not like they collapsed on their own. It's the government that messed with them. The Federal Reserve and the FDIC, those two. There was nothing wrong with Signature Bank. Has caused worrying outflows at hundreds of regional banks. Now with the U.S. Federal Reserve creating a new backstop facility reportedly worth $2 trillion, and Switzerland's central bank bailing out Credit Suisse to the tune of $54 billion, the echoes of crisis in 2008 and 2013 are loud. Now let's stop right here. I said this in our inner circle, you guys remember. The U.S. Federal Reserve coming around about, we've got a backstop of money. Now, when we read it, it was $50 billion. Now this is my first time seeing this amount, $2 trillion. And I said that there's no way that they out of the blue said, oh yeah, let's create a $50 billion fund for the banks. No. It was planned. They already had that ready to go. They were just waiting to pull the trigger. It's like a hostile takeover. Saying, yeah, we'll build. Guess what happens if you don't pay back that loan? We control your bank. It's a hostile takeover. This was planned. But what they don't know is how the people are going to respond. PodFast has created a floor. Okay, 6 cents range. All right. Price surge during the Cyprus banking crisis. Local authorities had infuriated Cypriots by slapping a 10% tax on withdrawals, unwittingly encouraging some to warn to the idea of bankless digital money. Bankless digital money. That was 10 years ago. Parallels between the past week's events. Again, Bitcoin's price has rallied on speculation that stress among US and European banks will open people's eyes to the leading cryptocurrency's censorship-resistant, intermediary-free qualities. But if this is Bitcoin's Cyprus moment, the context is very different from 2013. With crypto now embedded in public consciousness, negatively mostly, the industry faces its biggest ever test, one that involves an intensified struggle with the financial establishment. With thousands of people next month joining Coindesk's annual Consensus Conference. Provis, you're going to be there for that one, right? The Consensus in Austin, to discuss crypto's challenges and opportunities. The community now has a narrow opportunity to seize the day and define the future of money. Define the future of money. Right now, people walking down the street still think cash is king. This is changing. They don't even know it yet. Echoes of 2008 and 2009. Recall that the Bitcoin blockchain was born out of the chaos of the 2008 and 2009 financial crisis, with Satoshi Nakamoto's immortal timestamp on January 3rd, 2009, inscribing a headline from that day's London Times: Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks. Chancellor being the UK's finance minister. That crisis highlighted how our dependence on banks to run the plumbing of our money and payments leaves the entire economy vulnerable to mismatches in banks' investments and liabilities, which can undermine their ability to honor deposits. And it showed how the largest banks, whose interwoven credit exposures create systemic risk, exploited their too big to fail status. The idea that governments would always bail them out to protect the economy, to place asymmetric, high return, risky bets, it showed how Wall Street, and other financial centers, in effect, hold our democracies hostage, too big to fail. If you don't have accountability for your actions, then you're only encouraging them to repeat the mistakes that they made because they can get away with it. That's why if you break the law, you go to jail. If you do something bad, you pay a financial penalty to it. Just like your children, everybody that has children, you know this. You spoil your kids, they think they can do whatever they want. You got to teach them. That doesn't stop when you're an adult. If an adult does something and is not held accountable to it, they will do it again. I think I don't want to get political on nobody, but this week alone, we're seeing Vladimir Putin now has an international arrest warrant on him. Former President Donald Trump may get indicted this past week. If you do something wrong, it doesn't matter what you as an individual believe. If you do something wrong and break the law, whoever you are, nobody's above the law. You must be held accountable. Or we don't have a system, because if you think, because I love this guy's my savior, I don't want them to be found or held accountable to anything that they do, then the pendulum will swing the other way eventually. And you'll be screaming bloody murder when the person you don't like is not going to be held accountable, because they'll say the person you like wasn't held accountable, so I can do what I want too. The pendulum always swings the other way. Too big to fail. Here's something else that should shock you. I saw this on the news this morning. They showed the 4 big banks that are coming in to bail out the regional banks. And they had Jamie Dimon's picture up there and everything. You know what I realized? All of those banks have already launched or are about to launch their own CBDC. You understand what's about to go down? It's a hostile takeover. It's like, no, I don't want to go down that one. It's a hostile takeover. You're taking the guy who's bringing in CBDC and knows that the future of money. Remember, we read the JP Morgan white paper and what they're doing. They already say that the storm is coming. And I'll say this for next Saturday, because I want to see how this plays out this week. But Jamie Dimon said, he said, there's a financial storm that's coming. That's the biggest, he said hurricane. There's a financial hurricane coming. That's the biggest hurricane of our lifetime. And JP Morgan is prepared. That's what he said. JP Morgan is prepared. He said there's going to be a new future of money. And we're not only prepared for it, but we want to lead the way in this. And now all of a sudden, JP Morgan's going to be bailing out the smaller banks. The writing's on the wall, if you know where to look. Now with the collapse, it showed how Wall Street and other financial centers in effect hold our democracies hostage. Now with the collapse of 3 high-profile banks, hundreds of regional banks facing worrying outflows, the U.S. Federal Reserve creating a new backstop facility reportedly worth $2 trillion. It's like this. I said it in Inner Circle, and I will say it again. When you need money and you know you ain't got no good credit, because you go to the bank, you're not going to get a loan. So you go to the neighborhood loan shark. You go to Tony on the corner. Tony will give you money, but it comes with some stipulations, like 50% interest. Or you better pay at this date, and if you don't, it break your legs or worse. That is what's happening right now. The big banks are pulling a Tony Soprano on the smaller banks. Say, yeah, we'll bail you out. The smaller, there's a reason why they're independent. They don't want to be like the big banks, but they have no choice now. So they're going to the loan sharks for money. And the loan sharks will give them money knowing that they're not going to. Imagine this: if these big banks are in cahoots with the Federal Reserve, here's the worst case scenario: these big banks give these little banks money, then the Fed raises interest rates. Then there's no way in hell the little bank could pay it back. The big bank takes over. CBDCs. You gotta see this. As the Fed and the Federal Deposit Insurance Commission this week to put a funding plan in place, they did not scramble. Again, this is my opinion. This was planned. They already had it. They were just waiting to execute. So they scrambled so that thousands of startups with deposits at Silicon Valley Bank would meet payroll this week. We got a flashback of September 17, 2008. On that day, 2 days after the collapse of Lehman Brothers, the reserve primary fund used by companies to manage their cash reserves broke the buck. We feared that failures at similar short-term money market funds would lead to widespread chaos in the economy-wide system for paying employees and commercial contractors. It's not only the familiarity that's striking here, it's also the cause and effect. A direct line can be drawn from SVB's failure to the policies introduced in the wake of that prior crisis. In 2009, with the divided U.S. government unable to agree on fiscal solutions, has that changed? Isn't that exactly where we still are right now? A divided U.S. government unable to agree on fiscal solutions to revive growth? The Fed launched what would become a multi-year quantitative easing program, delivering a surfeit of dollars that left Silicon Valley's venture funds flush with money that they poured into startups. Those companies deposited the funds at SVB, which in turn made what must have seemed a conservative investment choice at that time. It plowed the cash into long-term U.S. government bonds and mortgage-backed securities. The problem was that in January 2022, once the Fed finally acknowledged that its easy monetary policies had stoked sustained inflation, it started aggressively hiking the rates. This tanked the bond market. That's where these small banks were getting government bonds that were supposed to be secure. And lumped massive losses on SVB, which had made the fatal error of not hedging its interest rate risk. Now, as fear spreads to smaller regional banks, depositors have fled en masse into Wall Street to failed institutions. So in other words, while crypto is going up, the big banks are also getting money. Everybody's fleeing the small real. Oh, let me run to Chase. Let me run to Bank of America. Let me get with JP Morgan. Because if they fail, the government will make sure we still get our money. So to an unprecedented degree, that will position an elite group of bankers as gatekeepers of our economy, a centralizing power that's already signs of overreach. This is all planned. Crypto bad guy. And then they came up, oh, it's crypto's fault. No. Or crypto was the target. No. Bitcoin's reason for some French people got mad. I said raison d'etre. Raison d'etre. I think I'm saying that right. Reason for being has always been that in removing intermediaries from payments and hard coding monetary policy into a predictable issuance schedule, it offers an alternative to the centralized model of fiat sovereign currency run by central banks. So the banks and the government create the money as we know it. They then take the money as we know it. And their solution is new money that they created. CBDCs. At first blush, however, the news hasn't been good for Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto community. Silvergate Bank, the first of a trio to collapse, was brought down in part by its heavy exposure to failing crypto firms. That encouraged anti-crypto politicians like U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren to call for tough measures against the industry, helping feed a guilt by association impact on SVB, although the bank's actual exposure to crypto was proportionally quite low. It was. I mean, Circle only had 6% of its funds in SVB. With authorities last week and also another crypto favorite, the government is either intentionally or indirectly using its relationship with those gatekeeping financial institutions to squeeze the industry. And I say it was an unintended benefit for them. Crypto was not the target in the move they're making right now. They're next. The main target right now is they need to centralize the entire banking system. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up going back on some form of a gold standard once they take over, but the gold is already centralized that they hold. I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but Fort Knox hasn't been audited in like 4 or 5 decades. Where's all the gold that they took from the American public, first of all? And then second, where's all the gold that was in 9/11 in the World Trade Center that was moved 2 days before 9/11 or a few days before? It was in the basement. It was a huge vault. They moved it all. Where is it? What does Tucker Carlson say? I'm just asking questions. I'm not endorsing anything. With authorities last weekend also shuttering Signature Bank, another crypto favorite, they're putting the squeeze on it. Crypto companies that previously banked with one or more of 3 shuttered institutions have been rejected repeatedly by bank compliance officers as they desperately try to open alternative accounts. Although the New York Department of Financial Services said Signature's closure had nothing to do with crypto and was instead triggered by a crisis of confidence. So we've got 2 crises of confidence happening here. We've got the people that are losing trust in the system. And then we've got the powers that be that are afraid that the people are losing trust in the system. So they're acting. And both of them is causing this crisis. If both just chilled out and let it be, there would be no crisis. Former U.S. Rep Barney Frank, now a board member of Signature, speculated in a New York Magazine interview that the New York financial regulator had made the bank a poster child to stay away from crypto. Later, Reuters reported the FDIC is insisting that any prospective buyer will have to give up on Signature's crypto business. The regulator later denied that report. Blacklisting a legal industry in this way is an abuse of power. That is true. That is true. But if that is what the NYDFS was doing, presumably in coordination with federal agencies, for now, there's little crypto leaders can do about it. And that's true. And there's nothing I'm trying, as a crypto leader, I'm not trying to do anything about it, but prepare for it. So we know what is going on and we can make the necessary moves to be ready for it. What does Jim Rome say? My goal is to build a financial wall around my house so high that nothing can penetrate it. So when a recession comes, you're saying, what recession? As long as you're staying ahead of inflation, you don't feel it. Meanwhile, stable coins, which are vital to fiat to crypto exchange operations, have been caught up in this. Circle to announce that some of the reserves backing USDC were held at Silicon Valley Bank. The stablecoin briefly lost its 1-to-1 peg to the dollar. That was a week ago. That situation has been resolved. But the closure of Signature Bank has meant Circle can no longer use its 24/7 Signet dollar clearing system for redemptions, forcing it to rely solely on the time-bound services of Wall Street behemoth BNY Mellon. Power struggle. Still, as angel investor and Myth of Money newsletter author Tatiana Kaufman wrote in a Coindesk op-ed, Bitcoin is made for this moment. That's true. If people continue to lose confidence in banks' ability to keep their money safe, the narrative around Bitcoin's self-custody model will only get stronger. Its appeal will be further enhanced if the Fed is forced to reverse course and cut interest rates, which could weaken the dollar. Now, as we come to the top of the hour, I'm telling you guys right now, I'm going to go a little longer than I normally would on a Saturday because I am learning. And I'm just going to keep the camera on. So if you guys can stick with me or you can go enjoy the rest of your Saturday. That prospect grew stronger Thursday with news of an unsuspecting softening in U.S. inflation. I see this all playing out in a complicated, multifaceted clash of power, one that ultimately compels governments to accelerate the implementation of new regulatory framework for the coming era of digital money. The coming era, the writings on the wall. If if there was ever a time that you needed to get financially educated or crypto educated, that time is now. On one level, the bank failures underscore the need to divorce payments from fractional reserve banking. We covered this in our inner circle. If you don't have a clear understanding of what fractional reserve banking is, show up on Tuesday night, because I will cover that, why this is the worst thing for a system. It's good for the banks, it's bad for everybody else. I'll also show you how it could be good for society on a short term. On a short term, it's good for society, but long term, it doesn't do well when the market's not doing good. On one level, the bank failures underscore the need to divorce payments from crisis-prone fractional reserve banking, precisely the solution for which fully reserved stablecoins are designed. Given the USDC stablecoins hiccups this past week, the argument will grow for requiring stablecoin issuers to hold banking licenses with access to Fed's discount window. Oh, hell no. And I know why they're saying that. No, because again, that goes back to the whole form of control. I'm not saying no about banking license, but I'm talking about what they're saying is they want to ensure that money. The regular bank right now with the FDIC insures your accounts up to $250,000, and that's good for the majority of people who don't have a $250,000 more. They're not issue. But as an entrepreneur, you have more money than $250,000. And this is why millionaires and billionaires don't keep their money in a bank. They invest it. They put it back in the economy. They put it in property and real estate and art and businesses and precious metals and crypto. That also helps build innovation and build businesses and hire more people. It moves the economy. Entrepreneurs move the economy. But if you put this on the stable coins, then that's another form of control. I'm not for that. I understand why, but I'm not for that. Anyways, stablecoin issuers to hold businesses with access to the Fed's discount window, rather than storing their reserves at third-party traditional banks. If you read the Federal Reserve white paper, you see what they just did here? They want to eliminate and get rid of the third-party banks. They want to go directly with the people, saying, "Hey, if you hold a banking license, you don't need to use a third-party bank like SVB. You can just go directly with the Federal Reserve. And we're going to give you a discount window also to do that." I see what's going on here. This is gangster. Legalized. This is what Wyoming-based Custodia Bank applied to do, only to be rejected by the Fed last month. And what now seems an especially boneheaded response. Circle 2 has long expressed a goal to become a bank. If this model is endorsed, how will the traditional banks respond? They're not going to want to see these new crypto players poaching their depositors, a super cheap source of financing whose departure could provoke an even bigger banking crisis. Might governments revert to direct control via central bank digital currency? There we go. Yes. With CBDCs, it's believed that central banks can apply targeted differentiated interest rates, including negative interest rates, to incentivize people to continue storing their savings with higher paying traditional banks. Complicating things for governments, those same people could just exit their national currency altogether and put their savings in crypto like Bitcoin. As the struggle to control the digitization of fiat money progresses, the OG digital currency will stand as a hard money alternative. Does that mean Bitcoin becomes a real competitor to sovereign currencies for payments? No. But while it's possible that developing nations facing monetary outflows amid this uncertainty will follow El Salvador's lead and declare Bitcoin legal tender, the use of existing national currencies will likely remain entrenched in larger economies. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. They're going to be going side by side with each other, side by side. Still, Bitcoin's mere presence as a competitor could pressure governments to change things up, especially as different economies, such as China's, seize a competitive advantage in monetary digitization. The countervailing force in all this is the public perception of crypto technology, which right now is deep in negative territory following the blowups of last year. Those events left millions of retail investors with losses and stoked the impression of a community dominated by scammers and selfish bros obsessed with gaudy trappings of wealth. At its core, money is a confidence game, that's true. A matter of faith and trust among the population that uses it. It's likely confidence in governments and their banking partners will wane in the aftermath of this banking crisis, but crypto is, for now, dealing with an even bigger mistrust problem. As this battle to redefine money unfolds, it's incumbent on members of the crypto community to engage in behavior that breeds confidence. If they can achieve that, the future is theirs. I don't agree with that. Why? Bitcoin is not based on confidence of people. It's based on math. It is what it is. It doesn't matter what you believe or what you think. It's based on mathematics. So behavior that breeds confidence, no, it doesn't need your confidence for it to work. The current system needs confidence because the dollar is not backed by anything but government trust. Bitcoin is not created out of thin air. There's proof of work behind it, just like gold. Gold doesn't need your confidence in it. Gold is a scarcity. You got to physically dig in the ground to get it. It's finite. Same with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not created out of thin air. There's a process behind it. Manpower, time, and money. So I don't agree with that concept right there, but I see what he's trying to get at. All right. I hope that one made sense to people. I learned a lot from that one. But that was an opinion piece. But here's another one. Bitcoin was built for this moment. Let me see if I can agree with the assessments of this article. Again, from Coindesk, this is an opinion piece. Amid a U.S. banking crisis, value is flowing into Bitcoin. Is this the beginning of the Great Reset? The Great Reset. What did I say? The financial storm is coming. The failure of Silicon Valley Bank, Silvergate Bank, and Signature Bank continue to ripple through the markets. Most recently, Charles Schwab's stock was halted in trading Monday morning. Meanwhile, Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto markets are experiencing a double-digit rally, which may be the first time that Bitcoin is rallying in a risk-off environment. Perhaps this is exactly the moment Bitcoin was built. Bitcoin was created as a direct response to the great financial crisis in 2008, during a period when many hardworking people felt both the government and the financial system were working against them. In fact, the very first block of Bitcoin had an inscription in the code. The Times, January 3rd, 2009, Chancellor on the brink of the second bailout for banks. Now that regulators are gearing up to backstop another centralized financial institution, which collapsed in part due to an aggressive monetary policy at the Federal Reserve and what appears to be either poor risk management or greed, is Satoshi Nakamoto's message. For years, I've been talking about the Great Reset. I've been talking about the financial storm is coming, a concept that advocates for us to stop trusting centralized institutions with the things that matter most. After all, these institutions are run by people who are not necessarily better or smarter than us, but they make all the decisions and mistakes for us. Bank runs. If you have never seen the movie It's a Wonderful Life, I strongly encourage. That's my first exposure to what a bank run was, and I was like, I don't know, three or four. I watched that movie at least twice a year. Whoa, where'd this go? Come back up. If we look at the sequence of events over the last week, we quickly begin to recognize the errors of human centralization. Last Wednesday, Federal Reserve Chairman Powell outlined a new approach to the Federal Reserve's policy path, indicating that interest rates may continue to rise for a longer period than previously expected. That's going to cause problems. All of your credit cards, trying to get a house, that's going to put all that on hold. The expectation of higher interest rates for a prolonged period of time almost immediately sent a ripple effect through the bond market, causing bond prices to drop drastically because price moves opposite to yields. At the same time, Silicon Valley Bank was forced to sell some of the 10-year bonds on its balance sheet at a 20 to 30% discount to meet obligations amid a period of climbing withdrawals. The only reason they had climbing withdrawals is because he said he was doing this publicly and everybody started pulling their money out. As rumors of a full run on the bank ensued and regulators took over. And then this caused even further panic. It only takes one match. This shows how sensitive and at risk our financial system actually is. It really starts with just one person. Could every regional bank go under? After all, according to fractional banking rules, most of these banks only hold 5 to 10% of your capital in reserves, making every bank vulnerable to a bank run. And this is what trips me out. This is legal. Yet they want to jump on the network marketing industry, MLM industry. Oh, it's a pyramid. You're taking new people's money to pay old people. If everybody wanted all their money, you don't have it. You call that illegal, but you're saying fractional banking is legal. To take 90% of somebody's money and then gamble with it. Oh, you use the term investing. Okay. But you're gambling with it because there's no guarantee. And then when people want to pull all their money out, well, you can only pull out 10% or 5%. Like I remember it was 2 years ago, some mumble rapper was crying on social media because he wanted to go to the strip club and all this other stuff. And he went to the bank to pull out $100,000 cash and they only gave him $30,000. And he didn't understand how come he didn't have access to his money. Just because you have money doesn't mean you're financially literate. All right. It's actually the worst. If you've got money and you don't understand finances, I give it 10 years, you'll lose all that money eventually. So could every bank go under? Well, if every American ran on the bank right now to pull all their money out, there's not, even if on their books they had the money there still is not enough cash to fulfill all the money in the bank accounts. That's a scary thought. It's just right now, everybody's not running on the banks yet. It's happened before. It can happen again. And then there was the obvious question to who led the risk management department that decided it was okay to buy 10-year securities for an institution that has daily cash flow obligations to their depositors. That is true. When the current economic slowdown began last year, many were worried crypto failures such as those at FTX, Three Arrows Capital, and Terraform Labs would spread to traditional finance. But the exact opposite happened because the Silicon Valley Bank failure directly impacted the stablecoin market. USDC depegs. USDC, the second largest US dollar peg stablecoin after USDT, is run by Circle. Circle's model is simple. It takes your money and gives you a digital coupon called USDC. Then it takes your money and invests in super liquid 3-month US Treasury bond, currently yielding 4.87%. What could be safer because it is the US Treasury? It can't be safer than that. Now, let's look at the same concept here. Let's go back when the US dollar was pegged to the gold. The American government said, turn in your gold, and in response, we're going to give you a piece of paper that has a number on it, whether it's a $5 bill or a $100 bill. So we're gonna give you this, but on this piece of paper, it's going to say gold-backed notes. Now it doesn't say that. It says, in God we trust, $100, Federal Reserve note. Federal Reserve note. That means nothing outside of we got to trust the Federal Reserve they're supposed to be having our gold, right? But then what do they do? What did they do with the gold? We don't know. We don't know what they did with our gold. Here, we actually know exactly what's taking place. When they give us this digital coupon called the USDC, we know they're taking that cash and they're investing it in US Treasury bonds. That's making them 4.87%. Well, Circle reasonably decided that it should still keep some cash on hand and spread it across 6 different banking partners, one of them being Silicon Valley Bank. And that was smart. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. We talk about this in crypto. You don't have all of your money. Those of you who get, let's say, for example, Nugent, some of you guys are getting 10,000, 50,000, $500,000, $2 million. You don't put or keep all of your crypto in the same wallet. I told you guys in Inner Circle how I do it. Don't keep it in the same wallets. So Circle is smart. They're like, yeah, let's spread this around to different banks. Imagine if they had all of their money in Silicon Valley Bank. They would not have recovered back to their dollar peg. So Circle announced it had $3.3 billion deposited with SVB, creating a hole of over 5% in its balance sheet. But that's nothing. They're already making 4.87%. So that, they can make that back up real quick. Panic ensued as USDC lost its dollar peg, not because USDC had a bad business model, but because of trust. But because they do have a good business model, it came right back. So it lost its dollar peg and dropped below 87 cents on Saturday. It regained its peg by Sunday night, Monday morning. Traders quickly switched to Tether, the largest US, and that was stupid. And I briefly, just 1 week ago, remember I said, I got a decision to make. Do I want to move it into Tether, move it into Bitcoin, or move maybe 50% and leave 50% there, or sit and do nothing? I chose to do nothing. And because of that, I didn't lose anything. It went right back to its dollar peg. The other people who panicked sold it when it was at 91 cents. They lost 10% of their money and moved it to Tether. You just lost 10% of your money because you panicked. The only stablecoin I'm going to panic about is not USDC. It's Tether. That's the stablecoin I panic about. Traders quickly switched to Tether. All the questions have been raised about its issuer's business practices and reserves. I personally choose to move a large portion of my holdings into Bitcoin. Now, if you had moved it into Bitcoin instead of Tether, you actually won because Bitcoin has gone up dramatically. So you made money if you did that. Even if you sold USDC at 91 cents, Bitcoin has risen in the past week. Let's see this. So, but Bitcoin, though, The past week, I think it's what, 30%? Let me see. Let me double check. Yeah. So you would have made 25% on your money had you moved it, even when USDC was down at 91 cents, had you moved it into Bitcoin, you would have gained. Now, I didn't do that, so the dollar. You would have made 25% had you moved it into Bitcoin. Had you moved it into Tether, you would have lost 10%. This, again, is where crypto education comes in. So you know what moves to make, when, how, and why. All right. Panic ensued. Yeah, I did that. The depegging of USDC is significant because Circle, considered a highly regulated and secure business, was poised to go public as a separate entity. The incident provided a wake-up call to investors, demonstrating that not your keys, not your coins. No, really, I mean, we preach that every day. Applies not only to banks, but to all central entities, even those that run our stable coins. Circle tried to restore trust by announcing it will use its corporate resources to cover any shortfall, which caused the stablecoin market to rebound by Sunday evening. As a result, USDC and DAI, which has significant USDC reserves, have returned to their dollar peg, and it is expected that USDC will now trade at par after compensating for SVB depositors. But is that enough? See, this is why you diversify yourself. So in case something happens in one area, it doesn't mess up your others. I say the same thing when it comes to business. You can't have all your eggs in one basket. I've got, as far as direct selling, 4 streams of income with different companies. Now, I'm sure each CEO of those companies would want me to only focus on their company and only talk about their company because that's what's in their best interest, but it would not be in my best interest. So while I love them, I'm making money with them, I'm always operating in my best interest. So I got multiple streams of income. I don't control you. The only thing I control is my company. I'm the CEO. I don't control the other ones. So I'm not putting my life, my finances, and the future of that in their hands. I'm the head of my household. You got to operate as such. But you can mitigate your risk by having multiple sources going on at any given time. So Circle tried to restore the public. Yeah, we got that. Is that enough? Who do we trust? Nobody. You trust you. You don't even trust me. My role is to share information to get it out there. Then it's up to you to figure out how to take that information and apply it for what's best for you. Because what may be best for me may not be best for you. I've got different goals. I've got different short-term goals and long-term goals than you do. I'm dealing with different type of money. I'm willing to take different risks that you may be willing to take. I might be willing to risk $10,000 without even thinking about it, where you can't afford to do that. Somebody else might be able to risk $50,000, which I might be able to afford it, but I'm not taking that risk. So who do you trust? You. Our assets may be bouncing back, but the shock to our nervous system, however, remains. How can we trust anything centralized? You don't. How can we keep our money in banks above the FDIC insured limit of $250,000? It's a risk if you do. Could the insurance fail? How can we keep our money in stablecoins that use the same banking partners? Bitcoin's beauty lies in its ability to store value in a decentralized manner, backed by math, without requiring humans to validate or support it. No one lends out 90% of your deposits to make a profit. There is no possibility of a bank run, and no one gambles with your hard-earned money on bonds. Bitcoin was made for this moment, and it seems the market agrees. The Great Reset presupposes a future where Bitcoin is the most valuable asset and the ultimate measure of value. It is what we use to store our wealth, perhaps selling small pieces for stable coins to pay our daily expenses, but nonetheless only trusting this decentralized store of value. All right, now this is dystopian, but I see what she's trying to say. The world is not going to be revolving around Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to take the same role as gold. It's just another asset that you can use as a store of value, but it's not going to be the only one. That's my opinion. Her opinion is, oh, the great reset, the world's going to revolve around Bitcoin. No, it's not, because I understand geopolitics. That's not going to happen, but it will be a major part. The concept of decentralization, however, applies to other areas as well, such as how we run our communities, allocate resources, and decide what our government should or should not control. A significant shift is underway. You see this? A significant shift, not a regular shift, not a little shift, not a theory, significant. And more people are opting out of the traditional system. We do not know how long it will take, but the Great Reset is happening and Bitcoin will be its chosen currency. No, here's what I believe is going to happen. The Great Reset is happening, but it's going to be CBDC. The governments are going to be fighting over which CBDC. Will the world still be run by the dollar in its digital form? Will Russia and China have their own stablecoin system that they're using that's digital, that is disconnected from the US dollar? See, China and Russia don't like Bitcoin because it gives their people freedom, and they're a communist nation. So they're not going to be advocating for Bitcoin. They got to have their own controlled digital token. That's why I said, yeah, it sounds good what she's saying, but that's reality. All right, to you. Crypto went on holders or hodlers' mental health. On day 5 of our 5-day challenge, we talk about there's no crying in baseball. In crypto, you've got to take the emotions out, but it can be difficult. I'll use a perfect example. Like a lot of people in this community are sitting around patiently or impatiently waiting on news from Nugent. We began the year, as far as, and I'm going to be brutally honest, as far as we knew about Nugent, it is an 18-month staking process. It would be 18 months before you have access to all of your tokens. That's how we began the year. Then they came out, and this is a mistake they made, because they realized what I had been saying all last year, and they didn't want to hear, that your own community was a liability, not an asset. So when the token drops, your own community is going to sell and cause the price to drop on you. You created a community of sellers, but you did so because on the pre-launch side, you had a community of buyers. But those same buyers are going to be selling. So now you've created a problem, especially during a winter market. See, if we were in a bull run, it didn't matter if your community was selling, because a bull run means there's a whole bunch of outside people willing to buy. But in a bear market, there are no buyers and you only have sellers. That created a problem. So rightly so, they decided we need to hit the reset button. We need to get rid of this Nugent 1.0 and create Nugent 2.0 and start it all over again. But we got to make the people from 1.0 whole. So, and this is a genius move, they did. They said, we're going to buy back those tokens at $1.33. We launched it at 70 cents. We're going to buy it back at $1.33. And once we buy it back, then we're going to launch Nugent 2.0. So here's why it's a genius move. Because by doing that, honoring their community, the community is now flush with cash and a profit from where they began. You're rewarding them from getting you off the ground in the first place. And then you drop a new token, and now that token's public. Who's going to buy that token first? Your community. Now you have a community of buyers, not sellers. You have a community of people who say, I just made money off of this. I want all the other stuff you have. And when you have the community that's buying, the token goes like this, up. So Nugent 2.0. So people, how can Nugent afford to pay everybody $1.33? One, they already made that money. And two, they're going to quadruple it in the future on the back end. So it doesn't matter if the community sells, because they're not selling Nugent coin, they're selling Ethereum. And that has no impact on Nugent coin. But here's the problem that they said. We're going to do it on January 13th. This was what? Around the first week of January, they made this announcement. So everybody had like a week. They said, you got 1 week, we're going to make this happen. But then they ran into the logistics side of it. Logistically, the way they wanted to do it, especially with CYA, it was impossible. Impossible. Because it only takes one person that's not paying attention, that's not plugged in, that barely has any crypto education, that has never touched MetaMask, and they've got $500,000 coming their way. And they screw it up. User error. Who are they going to blame? They're going to call their lawyers. They're going to call their state representative. They're going to call the legislators in the SEC. I got scammed. They cost me my money. Blah, blah, blah. It only takes one. And there is always at least one. Always. Some of it is you. Because you don't play with your money. And the worst are those who are never plugged in. They're the worst. Because they ain't trying to hear logic. All they know is, I paid for this. I expected to get this. Where's my money? So they're trying to make this in a way that's going to cover their ass. And they won't have any bad press. And with the more than 160,000 wallets they got to do, logistically, that's going to take some time. So what they thought they were going to be able to do immediately, they're not going to be able to do it that way. Not the right way for the most amount of people. And that programming, that could take months. So January 13th came and gone, and here we are 2 months past, and it hasn't happened yet. And a lot of people, once they heard that January 13th date, they looked at how many tokens they had, they multiplied it by $1.33, and now you know how much money you have coming to you. And this is the problem with humans. We're emotional beings. How many of you spent that money before you even got it? You're already making plans with that money. I already know what bills I'm going to pay. I already know I'm going to buy this. I got medical issues. I got debt. I got kids. I got bills. And that money's coming. So now your entire brain that wasn't focused on that just a week before has now switched to this. And then you can get stuck there. And every week you're now in waiting mode. And you're not even moving forward to produce. I said this back then. What I'm saying now. But Brandon, you got almost $1 million coming and you ain't even sweating. No. Not until it's in my hand. I got to keep moving forward. Business as usual. As an entrepreneur, the money you make now is based off work you did 6 months ago. That Nugent project was more than a year ago. So we're going to see the results of that now. But the money that you're going to be making tomorrow is based on what you do now. You can't stop. But unfortunately, a lot of people are still stuck. And this happens a lot. You're holding tokens. The winter era, when's it? Like I said, in the inner circle, I told you guys exactly when payday is. Don't. If you're in my inner circle, don't type it, publicly. You got to be in the inner circle to get that. So we already know when payday is. I ain't even sweating it. I don't care what the price of crypto is for the next, let's just say at least for the rest of this year. I don't care what the price is. I ain't sweating if it goes down to 12,000 or 13,000 or 15,000 either. All right, let me read this. Crypto winter can take a toll on hodlers' mental health. The relentless bear market, a string of high-profile criminal charges, and the fall of trusted institutions have taken their toll on those actively involved in the crypto industry. With so many struggling to maintain emotional well-being during this crypto winter, self-improvement and mental health experts can help navigate the ups, downs, and soul-shattering experiences that a long-term bear market can bring. Mental health professional Elizabeth Sturbins and wellness thought leader Sri Kumar Rao discussed with magazine how to cope with the depreciation of crypto portfolios, move forward, and illuminate intuitive happiness. Sturbins is a licensed psychotherapist in California, specializing in individual, couples, and financial therapy. A lot of people mix, I'm depressed. No, you're not depressed. You're just broke. if if your immediate physiology changes by the amount of money you have in your account, is not depression, you're broke. There are a lot of rich people out there that are depressed. Real depression. Some people misdiagnose it. They don't know the difference. Rao is an international speaker and executive business coach with a PhD from Columbia University. He teaches a course at Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University that merges Eastern philosophies with modern business practices. Learn how to ride a tsunami. Rao believes that crypto traders, developers, and community members have been hit by a tsunami. They are struggling through a long-term crypto winter that shows no immediate signs of warming. They also celebrated a 2-year NFT boom that was quickly followed by a devastating bust. The community was recently gobsmacked when major figures in the crypto industry like Sam Bankman-Fried and Do Kwon, both of them are clowns, by the way, were accused of fraudulent activities, discrediting the industry, and harming investors. And the hits keep coming. Just weeks ago, the U.S. Justice Department other international authorities took down a Hong Kong-based crypto exchange and arrested its founder in Miami. Rao believes that the bear market can be used as an opportunity to learn how to surf the top of the tsunami. That's why ILCA is here, while calmly observing what's happening below. He says one can achieve this by accepting that winning is not a requirement for happiness. Happiness doesn't come from making the right trade or a lot of money. According to Rao, that's a false belief. That is true. People think if I win the lottery, it's going to change my life. 70% of people who win the lottery turn around and say they wish they never won the lottery. What? And if you've never had money before, that's hard to understand. You're like, what do you mean you wish you never won the lottery? Just having the feeling of going to sleep and not worrying about if your bills will be paid. It is the best sleep. And I can attend to that. That is true. That is the best sleep. But let me tell you what having money does, though. It exposes who you really are. Because now your thoughts is not in survival mode anymore. What will you do with your life if money was no longer an issue? If you were an asshole before, money just brings and highlights your assholeness out even more. It brings out who you truly are. A lot of people can't handle that. You don't realize it now because you're still focused on, I got to pay rent on the 31st. I'm trying to put food on my table now. I'm in survival mode. So that's why a lot of rich, wealthy people commit suicide and depression. It has nothing to do with money. Now, of course, I would say, man, if I got problems, I'd rather have problems with $5 million in the bank than $500 in the bank. That's true. I'd rather deal with my problems sitting on a beach somewhere and not in a cubicle. Anyways, the thought you have to have something happen in order to be happy, it's just false. but you believe in it so strongly because you never really thought about it independently. You've just been carried on by the mass hysteria. Sturbins takes it a step further, suggesting it's unnecessary to go it alone, especially in these tough times. I think you have to be able to kind of trust, having a good financial advisor, that's an important part of your team. There's something else you need to have. I've said this from day one. You got to have a crypto buddy. You've got to have a partner, or you join a community of like-minded individuals who is going on the same path as you that you can lean on. Why do you think I created ILCA? ILCA is not the Brandon Ivy show. It's the community. Strong. I'm looking to double our size, but it's the community. So anyway, she believes getting sound, objective financial advice will provide peace of mind. Relying on someone else to help assess trades and to help make decisions about overall financial situations provides a feeling of being covered. You can then set your financial worries aside and focus on your well-being, Sturbins said. Rao claims it's also important to recognize that cryptocurrency has no intrinsic value. The value is only what people believe it is. That is not true. I do not believe that. That's not true. But anyways, the value is only what people believe it is. Large numbers of people agree that a particular token has a particular value at a particular time. But the moment people don't feel that way anymore, the coin ceases to have the same value. That's partially true. That part. I'm talking about this intrinsic value rather than what people value, what the value of any different than the stock market. People lose faith in Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg all of a sudden runs down the street butt naked, screaming crazy. Then what do you think is going to happen to the Meta stock? If Elon Musk does something completely out of his doggone mind, people lose faith in that Tesla stock goes down. That's just a crew across the board. It's not crypto. Rao says if you accept that up front, before you make the investment, and you say that what could happen and what could have happened did happen, and it happened when I made the wrong trade, that's okay. I'll recover. I'll move on. And I never really needed this to work out to be happy in the first place. That is true. That is why I got my 4 rules. Education is key. Don't use money you can't afford to lose. Always get your money back as fast as possible. Have a game plan. Where do you see yourself in short term and long term? Blah, blah. If you operate with those 4 rules, you will minimize your risk in crypto. Take emotions out of it. A crowd formed outside the Oregon Trust and Savings after executive announced it was shuttering because it was unable to pay obligations. This is August 22nd, 1907. 1907. How to deal with the crypto corruption shakeout. Many of the crypto community's worst fears were realized when FTX imploded and its founder was arrested. Now, again, that was a gangster move by CZ, the CEO of Binance, that created this. But that doesn't mean that Sam Bankman-Fried was innocent. He was doing bad stuff. CZ just exposed it for his own benefit. Same with Terra Luna with Do Kwon. That's another real clown there. So Terra crashed and subsequent charges were filed against its former CEO. Uncertainty about the inevitability of stricter federal regulatory efforts further validated these concerns. Crime is now undeniably a part of the crypto ecosystem, just like it is part of the US dollar ecosystem. Are you kidding me? That's a tough pill to swallow. And even meaningful regulatory crackdowns are a cause of concern. Nonetheless, Sturbin suggests that this is nothing. Hey, Peter, I'm on my live crypto talk. I'll hit you up right after.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry.
Peter Blackwell, y'all, right on time. Anyways, comparing the situation to those critical of traditional investors after history's largest Ponzi scheme was exposed, Sturbin says that's also like saying, like Bernie Madoff, I told you all these stocks were a scam. You should be putting your money in the mattress. According to Sturbins, it's important to separate from the bad behavior of unscrupulous characters and simply accept that there will always be bad actors. That is true. There will always be bad actors. A bad actor does not mean that the crypto space is bad. Okay? A bad actor does not mean that crypto industry is bad. So nonetheless, crime is on it. That's a tough pill to swallow. Nonetheless, Sturbin suggests that this is nothing to be ashamed of and doesn't mean participating in crypto is disreputable or embarrassing. Comparing the situation to those critical of traditional investors after history's largest Ponzi scheme was exposed, Sturbin says, that's also like saying, like Bernie Madoff, I told you all the stocks were a scam. Sturbin says it's important to separate from bad behavior to unscrupulous characters. There will always be bad actors. Rao believes blaming lousy luck or crypto losses on those bad actors certainly won't lead to happiness or peace of mind. He says that when the universe or its participants doesn't play by the rules and things go the opposite way, it's easy to assume the sky is falling. Distress and unhappiness can quickly follow. And I have always said this, before I was Bitcoin Brandon, I was the business mindset coach. One thing you got to understand, there's ebbs and flows in life. There's peaks and valleys. There's always going to be ups and downs. The key is not to be all jacked up out of your mind on the ups and not completely down and depressed when things are down. To be flowing like water in between. To be calm. To handle and knowing that is always temporary. The market going up is temporary. The market being down is temporary. Knowing how to maneuver is what makes all the difference. So because he's and you blame it all on an outside force. I am unhappy because so-and-so did such. I'm unhappy because Faisal hasn't released my tokens yet. Mm-mm. He's downright a scallywag. And because he's a scallywag, he's now being investigated. But in the meantime, the markets are gone to hell, Rao says. Instead, he suggests anchoring yourself in the idea that you're only involved in crypto because that's where your path is taking you. Me playing this game is something I do because it's my path in life, and I'll enjoy playing the game. I don't necessarily have to win for it to bring me satisfaction or joy. Like last night's game with the Dallas Mavericks versus the Lakers. Lakers should have won that game. LeBron James gets in Anthony Davis' face, basically step up, dude. And they're paying you $150 million a year or a contract. Step up. AD puts his, I saw as many after that conversation, he puts his head down. He went in the opposite direction. And then he goes out there. 3 plays cost the game. 1, he fouls a 3-point shooter. When you're up by up by 5 or up by 6, up by 4 or 5, you fouled a 3-point shooter with less than a minute to go. Then you come down, you get fouled, you go to the free throw line, and you miss a free throw. Then, on the very last play, instead of staying on your man, standing on the 3-point line, you drop down to the paint where a guy that's already being guarded. And then the dude hits a 3-pointer at the last second, and you lose the game. I do not claim Dallas Mavericks won that game. I claim the Lakers lost that game. Yeah, the Mavs did their thing, but it shouldn't have happened. It was self-errors that took place, and the Mavs capitalized on it. But that's just one game. Does that mean that Anthony Davis is a bad basketball player? Does that mean that his opportunities are gone forever? Nah, you put that out of your mind, you go back to the next game, and you do better. You learn from your mistakes. Crypto's the same way. What a lot of people end up doing is they lose in one area in crypto, and then they just give up completely. Oh, I got scammed over there. I'm never getting in crypto again. It's business. That's great, but I'm wrecked. According to Rao, traders who have lost it all must accept that they believed something, perhaps all of their lives. Well, one, they shouldn't have lost it all in the first place. They weren't. There's no way you can lose it all. That's not proper crypto education. So perhaps all of their lives that turned out to be disastrously untrue. Happiness cannot be found in a successful trade any more than it can be lost by a bad one. Raul says, the thing to do is not beat myself up and shoot second arrows at myself. Simply recognize that this was wrong. It was a sharp cut with a knife, but now that I have reached it or received it, I can see how clearly I was wrong. Let me pick up the pieces and not make the same mistake again. Tomorrow is another day. I like this is how I live. I've lost on some no projects. I've made on some no projects, and I got a big one that I'm only running my mouth about for the next 60 days. The Starvara project. I'm making millions off of that. Oh, let me say that. My goal is to make millions on that. It's not a guarantee. That's my goal. So tomorrow is another day. I don't have to let today's residue poison tomorrow. Although it's not easy, Raul suggests looking at awareness like it's a flashlight. A flashlight illuminates, this was an article I could have kept for like a Saturday night. This is a good one. A flashlight illuminates whatever it shines its light on. If you illuminated on the big gains you once had and neglected to sell, and now it's all gone, and you're behind where you started, you're shining the flashlight of your awareness on something that you defined as wrong in your life, Raul says. That's an inefficient strategy. Instead, he suggests, shining the flashlight on what to do next. You're not starving. You're not being foreclosed and thrown out of the house. Or even if you are, nobody's holding your hands in a vice while they rip your fingernails off. Let me put it this way. Some of you guys don't get, no matter how bad you think things are right now, it can always be worse. It can always be worse. There's always somebody who wishes they could be in your position, and you're not even liking the position you're in. Always. I'm looking at double checking. Is there a WCO call this morning? Because I know they're doing an event. WCL Super Saturday in Chicago. Yeah, that's in Chicago. 6:30 p.m. Central Time. I'm looking at this. Okay. So that's going to be at 4:30 p.m. that they're doing a Zoom meeting on this. It's all set up still. Thank you. All right. So there is no meeting right at the top of this hour. Okay. So nobody's holding your hands in a vice while they rip off your fingernails. For those really struggling with severe anxiety and depression, Sturbins recommends therapy and believes that professional help can be a gateway to personal growth. If one is not experiencing a severe clinical need and therapy isn't necessary, suggest focusing on the concept of radical acceptance. I'll share this a little bit. What do I do when I'm down, if things are not going my way? What do I do? There's a couple of things that I personally do. I will stop what I'm doing, period. Just stop. I would pause for a second. I then do things that make me happy. I love taking 2 or 3 hour baths with bubbles and listening to my nice, I call it my epic music, but it's music that gets my brain, it's not classical, certain classical music, but in the dark for hours by myself. That's my manifesting time. Then I like playing video games, chilling, watching movies. I'll binge watch one of my favorite shows. See, this is things that helps me changing my my physiology. It makes me feel good at the moment so that I'm not spending all of that time worrying and dwelling on something I can't control, because if I do that, then I'm vibrating on that level and I'm attracting more of that to me. Instead, I do things that I can control to make me feel good, listening to music and watching movies and playing video games and taking long ass baths and going for long walks that in the moment changes my physiology. And I always come back with an idea or a thought or a plan of action that I personally can control. It doesn't mean that the problems at the present go away. They're still there. It's just I'm counteracting it with more new and positive things that I can control by the work I do now. And then the next day I go to work. Like tonight, I'm taking tonight off. I'm just going to be doing things the rest of this day that makes me feel good because I'm getting prepared for the next 2 weeks where I've got a personal goal. By the end of April, I want to make an extra $50,000 by the end of April. So from now to the end of April, how can I make an extra $50,000? So I'm taking the day off and I'm going to manifest on that and come up with things and ideas that I'm going to do that in place. But that's just me personally. If it's worse for you, get it there. Go seek therapy if you need to seek therapy. But everybody, you can't avoid anxiety or depression. We're humans. It happens to all of us. But it's not what happens to you that's important. It's what you do, what happens to you that makes all the difference. According to the Berkeley, radical acceptance is accepting what is not under your control and embracing what is happening now in a non-judgmental way. Radically accepting emotional or physical pain can reduce the suffering they cause. If you are involved in any of the cryptocurrencies that have been affected by this, you can move forward from there. Other people have also been affected. Like I got a message from somebody, I'm not going to name any names or the project, that the project went bust. They are owed thousands of dollars that they were relying on coming in their way, and they lost it. And the response was, that's it for me on crypto. I'm not dealing with crypto again. Now, this is a project that began 2 years ago. So this individual has been in a waiting and holding pattern for 2 years and coming to the conclusion that it's not going to work out in his favor. And now he's like, I'm done. When I was in the same project where I invested more money than that individual and I lost far more money than that individual. So you can be involved in the same thing, but instead, I've had a very good 2022, 2023. And I'm in what's the difference? Two individuals that went through the same thing, how we responded to it. So while that was like, oh, I'm out of here, I'm making moves. I'm already 4, 5, 6 steps ahead. This is a game of chess, not checkers. Reach out for help. If crypto traders or holders are experiencing thoughts of self-harm, get help immediately. She suggests going directly to a medical professional or calling a trusted friend. The crypto community has previously shared resources such as international aggregators of suicide hotlines during bear markets when a number of holders who were underwater expressed harmful thoughts. Yeah, after Terra Luna credit, subreddit people are posting suicide hotlines and discussing how they've lost everything. Regarding such thoughts, Svb says, they do pass. It does not feel like that when you're in that moment. This is why I always talk about sometimes you're in that moment and that's all you see. One thing that I've learned as I gotten older is I've realized I turned 47. Oh my gosh. I turned 47 years old this year. And one thing that I've learned is that in all of the problems before, I've come through it. So whenever you see you're in a situation now, think about it. You've come through every problem before because you're still here. This is just another one. It's not the end. It's just the moment. And you've got to get over the moment. As hard as that might think, it passes. It does not feel like those 2 to 5 minutes are going to end. Therefore, she believes it's most important to have people around you who will do the best for you. This is why it's important to be a part of a community. A community can give you strength. A community can give you hope. A community can show you a light that you can't see for yourself right now. That's why I have ILCA. Sturbins also believes that family and friends shouldn't hesitate to reach out to loved ones who might be considering self-harm. Check on your friends. Check on your people to see how they're doing. Sometimes just that one phone call or that one word or that one message can snap somebody out of that current thought process that they're in for the moment. Check on your people. She says that many people think talking about suicide makes it more likely something will happen, and that's really not true. She recommends directly asking those struggling if they are thinking of hurting themselves. That's not going to make them more likely to do something. Lady of Crypto, a trader and Twitter influencer, also advocates for mental health. She tells Magazine, it was an incredibly tough time in the crypto space, and so many people were affected. This is not just crypto. We're now looking at traditional banking world. What about the people that lost all their money in the banks? What do you think they're going through in their head? I've had friends who have struggled, and I've seen how people can become shadows of themselves and be pushed to the edge. To see these messages on Twitter really is heartbreaking. No one should ever be in a position where suicide is their only option. I just thought if I kept my inbox open and could make a difference to even one person, it would be worthwhile. How long is this? Well, okay, we're right at the end. So where's the happiness after all? According to Rao, one can't look for happiness. It can't be discovered in a favorite altcoin, and it won't suddenly appear when Bitcoin finally breaks $100,000. Rao believes that happiness is not something to be sought after. The more one seeks happiness, the more it runs away. I agree with that. Happiness just happens, is not an aspirational goal, but springs out organically in adopting a certain mindset. I was about to not agree with this statement until she ended with that. Adopting a certain mindset. I agree with that. I agree with that. Find where true happiness is waking up each day knowing that you're going to be doing the things that you love to do. That doesn't mean that it's going to be successful all the time. But in business right now, like the Starvara project, why am I doing that? It falls in 3 of my passions. I'm a gamer. I love the direct sales industry and networking. And I love where this crypto industry is heading. Those 3 things is what that's doing. Then I love doing what I do. Brandon, you do crypto talk every morning because I love it. Makes me feel good when I do it. It's not, I don't see it as work. When your work is not seen as work, you're in that zone. So even when things don't go my way, I'm still happy because I'm doing what I love to do. And I take it as a challenge. Man, that didn't work. Okay, let me find something else. If it was the opposite, if I'm working a 9-to-5 job and I hate what I do and I'm not making money, depression. But I love what I do. You got to find what you do. That means sometimes I say no to great opportunities, not because I don't believe I can't be successful in it, not because I believe it's a scam, not I believe that I can't make no money in it, because it doesn't fall in line with my current passion. You know, there's hot businesses out there right now. I said it last night when did I say it? Thursday? I didn't do anything Friday. Thursday. Last crypto talk, I said, live good is smoking out there right now. It just does not fall in my passion in the direction that I'm moving. So I said no to it. That doesn't mean it's bad. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Now, if I found a way, if I had already had my ILCA opportunities up and running, then Live Good is a company that I probably would have added to the portfolio if I had it falling into my ILCA thing. I'm not ready yet. I'm not there yet. There's goals and things I need to accomplish first before I open up that line. So sometimes I say no to great opportunities. Sometimes I say yes to opportunities that may not be that great, but it falls in line with what I'm currently doing because it may not be great short term, but as long term, it is in line with what I'm doing. I hope this is making sense. Thank you, Warren. He said I'm dropping several nuggets today. Hope I'm making sense. All right, let me finish this so we can. I'm 2 hours in on this now. All right. The mindset you're going to occupy as a crushed crypto trader is, okay, I've blown a big chunk of my fortune and net worth away. It's very unfortunate, but that's the way the universe went. And I can now cry myself to sleep every night and make matters a whole lot worse, or I can shine the flashlight of my awareness on the fact that I'm still healthy, I'm still whole, I've learned a very expensive lesson. Yeah, and you move on. Focus on what to do next. This is where people can't do. They struggle with this. Focus on what to do next. Even if yesterday's red candles instantly keep trying to grab one's attention, Rao suggests recognizing this as mental chatter. Instead, focus only on what to do going forward. See, this is what I do. Sometimes I gotta watch the people that's around me. I can't have worriers around me. I can't. I'm a problem solver. And sometimes people worry not because for you to find a solution to it, just they just want to vent at the time. I can't do that. I'm like, yeah, that happened. I don't control that. I'm focusing on the things that I can control. I'm not dwelling my mind on the things that I cannot. Because if I do that, it stifles my growth. I'm not able to move forward. I'm not able to perform in the areas I need to because I'm so busy worrying about this. That's why I said even about the new gen. If some of you guys got your mind still focused, when is it going to drop? When are we going to get our money? And that's all you're focused on. You're missing out on all these opportunities. I told the one individual, man, I don't know why you're not as mad as I am. I know you lost more money than me. And my reply is, all that time you've been working, I've doubled the amount of money I've made since then. I've made that money back because I moved forward. I'm not worried about that. If it happens, great. I did my part. See, the only thing I focus on is the things I can control. I can't live with myself if I'm not performing. That's one thing. If I fail because I didn't do the work, then we got a problem. That's a personal problem. But if I failed even when I did perform, then okay, I got to move on, keep moving. It wasn't my fault. I did what I was supposed to do. It just things didn't work out that way. And the universe doesn't work that way. I told you guys, I believe in the crypto space, 80% of crypto opportunities are going to fail. 80%. I'm looking for the 20% that's going to work, which means I got to go through the 80% failures and keep it moving forward. So this was an unexpected article. And had I known the direction of this, I might have made a special out of this. I might have said, you know what, I'm going to do this on a Saturday night. I might keep this one for later because this deals with depression and suicide, and I'm mindful of that. All right, that is it for today. I hope you guys learned something new. As always, that is the point. Remember, I am not doing anything tonight. I will be back tomorrow night for more Starbara talk with Brandon Ivy. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It will be public just like this. Do I create a link? Yeah, I'll create a link for it. So those of you that want to hop on StreamYard and not watch it on Facebook, you can. But I will be streaming it live everywhere. Probably only be about 30 minutes. Then we got Inner Circle Crypto Talk Monday morning. Just like last Monday morning, it's going to be very important. We got to see what the markets do when America wakes up. So Monday morning Crypto Talk is going to be very important. And then Tuesday night, I'm doing it live in front of everybody, DeFi versus banking. But we got a whole big week coming up. I've already ran that down. So stay plugged in. Stay plugged in so you don't miss nothing. And I invite those of you that's watching me for free every Saturday, join our community. $49 a month. Join our community and so you can continue to get this information. I will put that banner scrolling there. ILCAchallenge.com sales page. Join our community so you can see what's going on. All right, everybody, that is it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Bitcoin Brandon out. Bye-bye.